We just got done with day 3, first day in pads, typical first day in pads. We've had good effort from our guys, and excited about kind of where we are at this point. Got a long way to go. What you got?
Anybody new to the injury list?
No, we're good.
What are your impressions of your quarterbacks so far?
I think Ryan was player of the day the first day. He's been, Mike's been very pleased with Ryan and Luke and what they've done. Jay Urick's done some nice things, but Ryan's done a really nice job offensively with the things we're doing and some different things that we're trying to, more than anything, we're evaluating right now. What can we do? And that's kind of where we are at this point. But we've been very pleased.
How's his grasp of the new playbook? Or
really good. Those guys have worked extremely hard. Mike's been really impressed with them as far as the meeting room is concerned. The amount of time they're spending over here, they're understanding that takes a lot of time, especially when you're going with some new things, some new terminology, and you've got to be able to master those things. And those guys have worked extremely hard. We've been really pleased with that.
I mean, we obviously only saw him for a little bit, but it looked to me like Ryan's kind of slimmed down some and built it back up with muscle.
I think he's down a little bit weight-wise, but I think his weight's about the same, but I would agree. I think he's done a nice job in the weight room of cleaning some things up. But that's, again, it's just playing as a freshman, especially that position, is tough. It's hard. I mean, it's very demanding, and he's handled it well.
Luke's first day in pads, how do you think he did?
I think, Luke's done some nice things. Obviously he reacts well. The moment's not been too big in the first 3 days. Mike, Coach Bobo, and I laughed about his first day of practice at Georgia. I think he fumbled 6 snaps, and Luke didn't fumble any. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of positives to build on. He's very intelligent. He reacts well in the pocket. Obviously, he's got the right kind of athleticism we're looking for, and he's been effective throwing the ball. So we got to continue to improve and get better.
How about his confidence?
Good. I think he looks good. He's throwing the ball extremely well in 3 days, so I've been very pleased with that.
Can you gain confidence as a player in practice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gain against good people. I mean, I think we've got some good corners. I think we've got some good front people, and we do some good things schematically, defensively. He's going to give you confidence, performing well against, a defense that I think's got a chance to be pretty good. So it ought to give him confidence. Yep.
Will any of the quarterbacks be live this spring?
No.
Does DeCarrion take any quarterbacks
No.
with you guys?
No, he's done a nice job of receivers playing in the slot and been very, had a big third down conversion on Friday, and continues to do a good job. It's all new for him. Sure. It's the frustrating part about last fall when we made that move. He could have had the entire fall to go through and be a receiver and learn all the different things you've got to learn at the new position. It's all new for him, and he's done a nice job with it.
How excited is he just to be out there and get?
Oh yeah, he loves it. He loves his teammates, loves his team, and it's good to see him smiling and enjoying it.
Have any of those younger tight ends kind of popped in the early going?
Keyshawn flashed a little bit, Trey Kenyon's done some nice things. He's got to learn what to do. I mean, some of these guys, young players, it's so hard. They've got to spend extra time, and that's why I told the team after practice, you got to come up and spend extra time learning what to do. Because if you don't know what to do, you can't play. You can take all the rest of it out. You can be the best athlete in the world if you don't understand what to do and what we're asking you to do. It's hard to get on the field. But again, I think both of those guys have flashed and done some decent things.
Well, kind of a meandering question here, but how much of a compliment is it for a defensive back not to have too many stats because it means that they're really not thrown to your side of the field?
Well, I think it's a backhanded compliment. I guess I don't know if that's backhanded. It'd be a front-handed compliment. Yeah. So no, I think it says that when people watch the tape and say we probably want to stay away from this, and so I think that's a great compliment.
The way I looked at it is just because JC maybe didn't have the big numbers, but that's nobody really was throwing over there.
You go back and look at the cut-ups. He had a good year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As defensive coaches, do you guys try to get any relief from the rules committee anymore? Have you given up on that? I mean,
as far as
all the rules changes of late have helped the offense, and we see that in points. Is that just the future, or do you guys still get in somebody's ear and say?
I mean, at the end of the day, they want an exciting product. They want that's for a large percentage of people. 38-35 is better than 3-0.
Right.
And so that's just the way it is. And I don't have any problem with it. That's part of it, and got to coach our guys the right way. And RPOs make it difficult. It's a very difficult job for the officials to understand when a guy's too far down the field when he's not. All that's happening really, really fast. As far as those things are concerned. So it is what it is. It doesn't bother me.
Is that the one illegal man downfield? If you had a magic wand, would you say we need to change that?
I
Or
think
is there something else?
there's a lot that I would, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. The rules are the rules.
Yeah, but it's a fun discussion. What would you change?
Well, I mean, I think they ought to be able to replay that. Of course, then you're going to talk about duration of the game. But you know what? A lot of our fans would love to be at Williams-Brice Stadium for another 30 minutes.
Right.
I mean, they just yeah, I got you. Yeah. So that's the way I look at it. I do think that the NFL, a pass interference rule in the last 2 minutes. Is it the half and the game? I know it's the game. I'm not positive on the half. I know it is the game. I think that's a great rule. You get some critical 50-50 balls down the field. Let's get the call right. Let's make sure we get it right. And I think that would perform a lot of relief. I think that the targeting there's a difference between in targeting a guy and a malicious intent targeting. Malicious intent, throw the guy out of the game. I got no problem with that. But to me, I look at the Ohio State Clemson game, and when the nickel blitz in the B gap, it was targeting by rule, but there was no malicious intent. I look at the Clemson LSU game. The linebacker from Clemson, Slasky, expands inside out. It was targeting, but it was no malicious intent. So both of those young men got kicked out of a game for playing what you had said 10 years ago. That's a good football play. And I understand we're trying to get the head out of it, and I get all that, but there was no malicious intent. I hate that in the college football playoff, both of those young men got kicked out of the game for really what I would say is a good football play. Is it targeting by rule of what they said? Exactly right. But I don't think maybe take them out for a play and let them come back in the game, but I don't think kicking them out of the game. But certainly our rules have helped as far as a lot of those things are concerned. But again, they make the rules that we've got to play by them, and that's what we'll do.
When was the last time you adjusted your goals points-wise to reflect?
We adjusted points, I want to say, maybe 3 years ago.
What to what?
Well, I think we'd always said 13. We're up to 16.
That was a nod to the fact that the rule changes had made it.
And we look at every year we're going through our offensive goals. Based on what would lead our league. And you talk about we adjust that a little bit every year based on third down, based on red zone. We go back to what would lead our league. If we could do that, then we'd be very successful. And we've done, we've adjusted those a little bit year to year. We kind of got on the same page, explosive play. A lot of people think a 12-yard run. I think anything over a 10-yard run, because you're usually moving the chains on a 10-yard run. On a 20-yard, if you played defensively a dig perfectly, it could be caught at 16 to 18, tackled, and it's not a 20-yard gain, and you played it well in zone in a cover 2 scheme defensively. Why give them an explosive play on that when you played it well? Because it's hard to tell your kids, well, that was played well, but it's an explosive play. Right. So that's why we went to 20 with that, because some people say 18, which I think is hard, or 15 on an explosive play. But everybody has different parameters on that. But we do adjust our boards a little bit each year based on what led our league.
What were the challenges for Cam Smith last season? What have you seen from him kind of through the offseason and the start?
Well, Cam was a freshman. He needed to get a lot stronger. Athletically, he runs extremely well. He's got great change of direction. He's got really good instincts on the back end, but just the wear and tear of the season wore down on him. So he's done a nice job in the all-season program of getting stronger. That was something we really challenged him with. And he's, as far as what we want at the positions, what you want, and now you just got to get turns and reps and play. And that's what he's doing right now.
Who you got putting the ball right now for you?
We got a bunch of guys back there, so we're gonna make those decisions in the fall.
Is that one of those things where if somebody comes in the summer, those guys immediately get thrown in the pot, or would you like to have
absolutely,
a candidate?
Absolutely, absolutely.
When you're installing the new offense, in terms of just patience, sometimes, like how do you evaluate that?
Yeah, you got. We had a couple of hiccups today. Personnel. I generally when we're doing move the ball periods, our coaches stay off the field because the players play. And the coaches coach. So, I've had offensively now we've had to have some coaches come on the field, make some guys get aligned right and different things as far as our alignments are concerned, some shifts, some motions, backfield sets, different things. And that's part of the growing process of it. We'll have obviously a practice Tuesday and another one Thursday. And then we come back. I think we have 3 practices our first week back in our first scrimmage. And again, that's where, to me, and I'll tell both T-Rob and Mike, we were going to be very simplistic in that scrimmage. We want to be able to line up and play and just find out who can go block and tackle on the base fundamentals of football. It's not about tricking anybody. It's not about trying to win the drill or win the scrimmage. It's about, what guys can go out there and function on their own without a bunch of, things going through their head. And that's really what you point towards. But right now we're, teaching stage a little bit as far as those things are concerned. You got to be a little bit more patient, and that's part of it.
Is that tricky sometimes? Because just like in training camp, the defense is usually ahead of the offense a little bit, and you only have about a month for spring
Yeah,
football.
well, I mean, again, I think that we're in a huge evaluation mode offensively. What can we do? And that's something, a discussion that we have as an offensive staff and myself is just constantly every day. Okay, we feel good about these runs. We feel good about this, these route combinations. This personnel grouping is a good, what our quarterbacks feel comfortable with. That's part of the conversation as well. So that again, that'll probably be decided about halfway through training camp.
Piggybacking on his rule question a minute ago, Citadel announced they're implementing the XFL rules for their spring game.
Yeah, saw that.
Any thoughts on that, especially regarding their kickoff rules? Any?
Right. No, we haven't really had any discussions on spring game as far as how we're going to run, administer the game. I do think that we need to have we need to do a better job returning punts. When Brian was back last year, we did a nice job. We lost some field position when Brian wasn't back there, in some games. So we'd like to get some live return work as far as that's concerned. But those are things we'll discuss as we move forward. But there's certainly some interesting, and I said in my press conference, I think the other day, that the XFL rule, I think, is a good rule on kickoff. It's an interesting way to take some of the collisions that we're trying to get rid of out of the game and go from there.
You lost a lot of leadership on defense. Who are you hearing from this?
Well, Ernest Jones has been a really good leader for us. J.C. Horn's been a really good leader for us. Kiera Thomas is a guy that's played a lot of football, was not obviously with us full-time last year. But those are the guys right now that I think have a very good handle on, who we are and what we want to be defensively.
Is there a guy that long-term could end up kind of taking the T.J. Brunson route, moving over to weak side, or is he mostly just kind of a middle guy?
Who's that now?
Ernest Jones.
No, Ernest is our Mike, and he and Resendo Lewis has had a good spring for 3 days. I mean, he's gotten his weight down. He's moving much better. That's always been his issue. But I've been really pleased with his progress and how he's continued to come on for us. Sherrod Greens can play Sam and Will for us in the dime when we're in sub situations. And Damani's done a nice job. Darryl Ware's a walk-on that's coming and flashed and done some decent things for us. And I wish Mo Kaba was able to go, because I was a guy we really were excited about coming in here. And unfortunately, he's rehabbing his knee injury from high school.
Well, what's the method of madness of scheduling a few before spring break and then giving them that and then having them come back?
Well, again, you get a guy that sprains an ankle or something, you're able to get them back. From a recruiting standpoint, our spring game is earlier than everybody. We get guys we know we're going to get on campus. We're not conflicted with an SAT or ACT weekend. And we're able to, in March, get guys on campus. For kids would rather come to practice. We had a lot of guys, because today was the first live period back where wasn't dead. So, prospects would rather come watch a practice, sit in the meetings, be a part of that, than go to a junior day. And me too. So we're able to get guys here earlier, and I think sometimes first impressions are really important in the recruiting process to get a guy on campus.
Do you guys got to give the speech to some of your players before they go on spring break, about have a good time but don't get
all in moderation? All in moderation.
Any spring break stories you bring up to them?
No.
First day in pads out of Muschamp.
Good. He's a one-cut runner. He gets the ball north and south. He's got a low center of his running ability is concerned. There's not a lot of soft spots to hit. He's a very intelligent guy that works extremely hard. Been very pleased.
Anything else? Good.
All righty. Have a great day.